Here at Green Juju, we prioritize real whole foods, organic plants, and simple ingredient panels. It is our mission to make it easy, convenient, and fun to feed fresh. Our Veggie Blends are the foundation of our company and were inspired by my yellow lab, Bailey. So Bailey was my yellow lab who I got when I was 19, and she developed a rare joint tumor when she was 9. And the conventional and holistic vets, and nobody really had a ton of great answers for us. And all they said is that it was locally aggressive but slow to grow, and you had some time to figure it out. And so I was doing a lot of health stuff for myself that revolved around fresh whole foods. The Just Greens was like a variety of what I was already doing for myself. And so in addition to, we did a bunch of things. We did a raw diet and Chinese herbs and acupuncture and other energy work and this. They originally told me she had 3 to 7 months if I didn't amputate her leg right away, which she was so sick at the time I couldn't do. And so we did this along with the things I just mentioned, and 14 months later, she was just like bounding with energy. Her eyes were bright, her coat was so soft, like the previous allergies she had on her belly were gone. She was so just so healthy. And so we ended up going through with the amputation, and she lived for 4.5 years. And that was how Bailey inspired this.
So Kelly, I love Just Greens, and I love also that it's the foundation of the company. And so I'd love for you to talk a little bit more about Just Greens specifically.
Green Juju is the first veggie blend on the market in the pet industry. And what we do differently is that we juice the plants and then mix the fiber back in. We do this because it breaks down the plant cell walls and it makes the nutrients more bioavailable. We also get the texture and palatability right. It's about using the right amount and the right type of vegetables mixed with bone broth and coconut oil. I love all the ingredients in this blend, and I think they all have a place, but some of the ones that stand out the most to me are the organic dandelion greens, organic kale, organic parsley, and the bison bone broth. It's really low carb. It's less than 3% net carb, so it's all dark leafy greens, in addition to the coconut oil, which was put in there to help with the yeast, and then the ginger and turmeric. It's not so much about what each ingredient does, but the synergy of all the ingredients in the blend that I think is the most important part.
So Golden Blend is a great replacer for pumpkin, but it has a lot more benefits. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so this has butternut squash as kind of the primary ingredient, which has that similar profile of pumpkin. But in addition to butternut squash, it has golden beets, it has celery, it has a duck bone broth, it has coconut oil, it has ginger, it has a lot more nutrients and phytonutrients. So one of the reasons that I wanted to do this one, there was a study in 2005 from Purdue University that showed if you fed dark leafy greens 3 times a week to any kind of diet, that it reduced the risk of certain cancers by 90%. And if you did the same thing with orange or yellow veggies, it reduced them by 70%. And those are kind of coming from different directions, right? So I thought it'd be really cool to have a yellow orangish blend to provide the rotation in nutrients, different diversity.
Let's talk about Bailey's blend. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Bailey's blend was the second blend that I made. It was honestly meant to be as much like the Just Greens blend without being the Just Greens blend. I wanted to have a lot of the same properties like antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, detoxification, immune supporting, and keep it really low carb. It's still the same 3% net carb that the Just Greens is. The main difference is that it's achieving these health goals using different plants so that you have different nutrients. We use green cabbage, broccoli, blueberries, and cilantro in this one. And then it also has an organic turkey bone broth instead of the bison bone broth. Some of the feedback that we got from customers was that dogs either had issues with feathers or hoofed animals. And so the bison was your hoofed and the turkey was your feathered. And I figured between having those 2 blends, it kind of gave a better allergy option for whichever category a dog may fall in. So we found out that Bailey's blend has a little secret to it. You want to tell us about that?
One of the first things that I got to do when working for Green Juju was discover that Kelly was actually so smart that she made a fermented product without even really knowing about it. So I was in my kitchen and I was using it, and it was about 10 days after I started using it, and I opened it up and I smelled it and I said, wow, that really smells like acetic acid. And so like any normal person, I pulled out my home pH testing meter and I tested it, and it was below a 4.6. And I said, wow, this is a fermented product. Why is that? So I looked at the ingredient panel and I saw that it was, the second ingredient was cabbage and the last ingredient was lemon. And cabbage is a great inoculator of probiotics, and lemon is a great acidifier. And then we did some testing on it, and we figured out that if you have this in your fridge for 8 days, over that time it will ferment. And so this product is actually specifically good for 22 days and will ferment over that time. So it's a really cool thing because you get two nutrient profiles, both the fresh and the fermentation. And the fermentation part of it is those bacteria kind of pre-processing it. So you'll create all of those wonderful pre and postbiotics within the Bailey's blend.
So there's a little caveat to that. This container lasts like 5 to 7 days and will fully break down in your fridge. So make sure you transfer this to a glass container if you're going to let it self-ferment. The Vitality blend was released in early 2025, and it's the newest addition to our lineup of blends. It's a gently warming blend from a traditional Chinese medicine perspective, and it uses primarily pink and purple plants. We use organic purple carrots, organic purple cabbage, we use organic raspberries, organic parsnip, and it has a venison bone broth. The venison bone broth is wild harvested, and it's great for the gut and joints. This blend is great used in rotation with our other blends, or also great for older pets that are seeking warmth. Billy, I've been doing this for a long time with these blends. In your time with us, what have you seen these blends have an impact with?
Well, the biggest impact for me is in the fiber content. So there's a lab that actually analyzes the microbiome of healthy dogs and cats. And what they found was that even dogs that have healthy raw diets don't have diverse enough microbiomes. And the reason for that is because they're not getting enough fiber and they're not getting enough varied fiber sources. Because it matters not only how much fiber you're getting, but that you're getting fiber from a diversity of plant species. So we've actually done some data collecting in this where we actually have animals test their microbiome for health and diversity, and then feed just greens for 30 days and then retest their microbiome for health and diversity. And what we found was that those bacteria average out in healthier sets. But what we also found was that there was a reduction in pathogens like E. coli over time. And so even if your dog is getting an amazing diet, this can be a healthy way to support their immune system through the diversity of their gut.
By using our blends throughout the month, you'll get over 20 different plants in your pet's diet. Each of these blends also have bone broth, which are great to support the gut and the joints and help the body detox. Something that I think is important to talk to new customers about how to introduce this product is how to add it to a dog's food. These are very palatable, and we have a huge success rate with dogs loving them. However, it could be something that they haven't seen before if they aren't used to eating plants. And so we just recommend that you start slow and mix thoroughly into their meal, maybe add something that they like raw goat's milk or something, and then work up over time. Dogs usually adapt to it very, very quickly, and there's not any digestive concerns. Sometimes it's just I haven't seen this before. So you want to start slow and give them a really good chance to get to know what it is. When it comes to feeding the blends, there are two schools of thought. One is to use the feeding recommendations on the side of the container. The other school of thought is the plop method, which is my preferred method. And it goes, a small dog gets a small plop, and a medium dog gets a medium plop, and on and on. And the reason that we can do this is because we're just using real whole foods, and the body will use what it needs, and it will safely get rid of the rest. If you look at the feeding recommendations on here, it can seem kind of high, depending on how big your dog is. And we never want people to shy away from using the product because they feel like, it's more than they want to do, or it's more than they want to spend, or whatever. So we always say some is better than none. Do whatever works for you. I'm a big fan of the plot method because I think it keeps it really easy and simple, and this is supposed to be easy, convenient, and fun. The blends come frozen, and to thaw them, you just put them in the fridge. They will take about 24 plus hours to thaw. Once they are thawed, you can just scoop out of them for 5 to 7 days, or if it will take you longer to go through that amount, you can also refreeze them into ice cube trays or any smaller portion that works. And as a reminder, the Bailey's blend will ferment over time. Just make sure to transfer it to a glass container.
So can cats have this?
Cats can have this. They don't have the same plant requirement that dogs do. However, we have heard a lot of success stories of cats doing really well with this. So. We as a company recognize that not everybody is going to use a frozen product. And so we're excited to have these blends in a freeze-dried version that are easier to travel with or just easier to use at home for some people. With that opportunity, we added different herbs to each of the freeze-dried blends that we are very excited to feature. So this is our freeze-dried Just Greens. In this product, we do not have any bone broth. We add coconut oil, which adds fiber, and then this also has nettles. Nettles are kind of the featured herb of this one, and they are great for allergies. They're natural antihistamine reducers, so kind of like a nature's Benadryl. We have freeze-dried versions of all of our blends. The golden blend in the freeze-dried version has bee pollen and also has coconut flour. The freeze-dried Bailey's blend has cleavers and also has the coconut flour. The freeze-dried Vitality blend has astragalus and also coconut flour. The freeze-dried blends are great for traveling, people that don't want to deal with a product in the freezer. I think they're also great for smaller dogs because you can mix up smaller amounts at the time and not use a frozen tub. And they're really easy to use because you just measure them out and rehydrate them. You can even do a couple days at a time and just keep it in the fridge. I wouldn't recommend feeding them dry. This is meant to be rehydrated. You can rehydrate it with just water or bone broth or raw goat's milk or anything you want. This is the large 5.5 ounce size bag. It makes 3 15-ounce containers. This is a 30-ounce container. But the small bag of this, which is 1.75 ounce, makes one 15-ounce container. And the prices are actually really, really comparable, so you're kind of winning either way. If you have any questions about our frozen or freeze-dried veggie blends, email us or find us on Instagram. Billy and I are the ones that answer.